What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and I have a very exciting video to bring to you today. And this is something that I'm extremely passionate about, and it is a sort of preview, and I'm going to touch on a couple of things of the Venture Maidens campaign guide that was kickstarted, I think it was last year. And it was put on, obviously, by my good friends, the Venture Maidens, and then produced by my other good friends at 2C Gaming, who is also the sponsor of this video. So I'm just going to get into it. If you did back it, I'll just remind you, if you did back the Venture Maidens campaign guide on Kickstarter, check your email because you can get an access to the 232-page PDF right now. And I don't know how much is going to change between what I'm going to show here versus the final PDF product that you'll have in hand. I can't say at this point, but there's a lot of really awesome stuff in here. Obviously, it was written by, again, a very good friend of mine, Celeste Konowich, and she just poured her heart and soul into this book, and it's very clear and very apparent. And if you've ever watched anything that Celeste has ever been a part of, that should just seem second nature to you. I guess that's also a small plug to check out the Venture Maidens, and you know, Celeste also is now working for Cobalt Press and has put out a ton of content out there, so feel free to go check that stuff out. So here is the campaign guide. I will say, Celeste and team, no bookmarks. Auto loss of points from Ted. You're my good friends, but that doesn't excuse you from not having bookmarks on your PDF. I realize that it's an early draft, so you also get a little bit of leeway there. But let's go on into this PDF here. Take a look. So here you can see we do have one new race, which I think we'll touch on. We have a variety of different backgrounds, which are pretty cool. We have a subclass for every one of the base classes in the game. For those of you saying, why is there no Artificer? I've said it 1,000 times. It's not on the open game license. You can't do it unless you're publishing stuff on the DM's Guild. Then we have her very awesome Heroic Destinies system, which I think is probably where we're going to spend a lot of time, because it's a really interesting and unique concept, and I think it definitely needs to be highlighted. And listen, if you guys sound off in the comments and there's something specific you'd like to see in a secondary video, we can obviously do that for sure. Then we have Chapter 2 is basically all about, Chapter 2 and 3 are basically lore and history of the Venture Maidens campaign world. And then Chapter 4 is about actually how to build a campaign within that world. And again, it's chock full of a bunch of stuff, a lot of tips and tricks, and you know, Celeste's been building this campaign world for years. So, and then we see Chapter 5 is Treasures, which will give you a bunch of different options for magic items, relics, kinds of artifacts, as well as magical rewards, things like the blessings and charms, boons, epic level kinds of things that you would get, or just other gifts that you can bestow upon a player without having to give them a hard, you know, actual magic item. And then we have NPCs and things at the end as well as monster templates, which I also should point out that is fantastic. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of a template, this is things that have existed in previous editions where it's something that you can just apply to a creature, right? So you can see there's the excuse me, I don't know, so the Blossom Court template, let's say. You could apply that to a T-Rex, a hag, you know, a regular old NPC thug, and they could become a Blossom Court thug or so on. And it basically alters the way you have that. So with these, what is that, 6 different templates, you can then take any monster you have in 5th edition from any source, whether it be primary first-party source, third-party source, or otherwise, and then take these templates, apply them to them, and you've essentially added 6 times the amount of monsters to your campaign world, or your, you know, your ongoing game that you're playing. So very cool stuff. And then again, it's just some NPCs at the end on top of brand new bestiary as well. There's a lot of awesome art in here as well. If you're a big fan of the Venture Maidens, you'll recognize a lot of the characters there. So let's move into the first section, which is the races, which is Eldrin. Now, some of you may be saying that looks awfully familiar to another thing, and it's basically spelled out. And I gotta give Celeste kudos here for saying why Eldrin. It says, while the Eldrin of the Plains share similarities with an existing 5e themed elf subrace, again, have to skirt around language because of you know, open game license rules. They are intentionally distinct from any existing mechanics or lore. Eldrin of the Plains are not born or beholden to the fairy realm, and they do not have any inherent connections to nature or the seasons. Players who choose to use the 5e season shifting elf subrace and venture maidens is fine to do so. There you go. All right, so Eldrin in the Plains, relatively young species. They've accomplished much in a short time. Physical characteristics, they are mortal. They have physical characteristics commonly found among Fae who favor humanoid forms. Slight of build, androgynous features, larger eyes than human, and primarily black with a visible sclera, without a visible sclera, sorry. And pointed ears are usually angled directly upwards. Skins range in a variety of pastel colors. So, what do you get? Increase one ability score of your choice by 2 and increase a different score by 1, or 3 different scores by 1. Again, keeping with the updated sort of rules we have. Age, they reach adulthood in their late teens and can live to 300 years old. They're considered humanoid. Medium size, 30-foot walking speed. Then their features. Magic manifest, choose a school of magic from which you have a natural affinity. It's being abjuration, evocation, or so on. You earn a cantrip of your choice from that school of magic. I like that it's tied to the school of magic and not necessarily to a class spell list. When you reach 3rd level, choose a 1st level spell from that same school of magic, and when you reach 5th level, choose a 3rd level spell from that same school of magic. You learn these spells and can cast them at their lowest level. Once you cast these spells, you must finish a long rest before you can cast the spell again using this feature. The spellcasting ability for these spells is Charisma. Again, if we were to try to update this, again, this is third party, this is Celeste's World, I'm not going to knock it, but if you did want to update this to kind of the more recent thing we've seen from Wizards of the Coast, you would say that you can also cast these spells with any spell slots you have, and you would say the spellcasting ability modifier for this is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. You choose when you choose this race. And then Spell Ward. Once per day, when you fail a saving throw against a spell or other magical effect, you can use your reaction to reroll the saving throw and use the higher result. You can choose to use this feature once you know you have failed the saving throw, but before the consequences of the failure are declared. Starting at 10th level, you no longer have to reroll when you use this feature. When you fail a saving throw against a spell or effect, you can choose to use your reaction to succeed instead. Now, it says once per day at the start. That probably should be once per long rest. Not a big deal. And then they speak Common and another language of your choice. And then it says a variant of the Grove Elf. Grove Elves are an ancient mortal race born with an instinctual connection to the natural world. I don't think they actually... Oh, here's Grove Elf traits. All right. Same ability scores, can reach adulthood at 100, live to 750. Humanoid, medium size, 30-foot walking speed, dark vision is 60 feet, proficiency in perception. And then they have beast affinity. Using gestures and sounds, you can communicate simple ideas with beasts and have advantage on animal handling checks to interact with non-hostile beasts, not beats. That'd be one weird race if you could just talk to beats. Deep Roots, whenever you take damage from a spell or spell-like ability while standing on natural ground or unworked stone, you can use your reaction to have the damage. Nature's Child means you automatically succeed on saving throws against being charmed. You have Trance, and then again, Common in a language of your choice. So if we continue on, it'll take us into the various backgrounds. We're going to skip over those to get into the subclasses. Now we have a variety of different subclasses here. And I think I want to talk about, one I just want to touch on briefly is the Way of the Chronicle Monk. It does something that I think is really cool, and it basically gives the monks a way to increase their overall damage output. I've said this before, monks can do a bunch of attacks, which is nice, but their damage is usually relatively minimal. One of the abilities they get here with this monk, Sealing Strike, is essentially the way to increase by spending additional key points, which again is unfortunate because key points is a resource that you have limited use or limited number of, but basically an unending use for. You can upspend key points to basically increase the damage of one of your attacks. But I want to focus on the kinetomancer, what is it called? Kinetomancy wizard, which is sort of kinetic magic and sort of push and pull and I don't know, in my head I immediately sort of think of Gambit, although it's not, it's less exploding playing cards and more inertia, I guess. Right? So at level 2, you get Kickback. If you successfully hit a larger, smaller target with a spell attack, you can choose to push it 5 feet away from you. This movement does not provoke attacks of opportunity. It increases to 10 feet. It can affect huge or smaller targets when you hit 10th level. And at 14th level, it goes out to 15 feet pushback and affects gargantuan or smaller targets. You get Arcane Momentum at 6th level. I really like this. Whenever you fail to hit a creature with a ranged spell attack, you can use your reaction to attempt to redirect the spell towards a different target within 30 feet of the original target. You must make a new spell attack for that target, and you can use this proficiency bonus times per long rest. I like this because it sounds powerful at first, but there's not a ton of spell attack roll spells in the game. There's very few, in fact. So this kind of incentivizes you. And I've kind of seen this in the past, and I felt this myself, that I often prefer to do attacks rather than spells with saving throws, because I feel like I'm in control of my own fate if I'm rolling to attack, whereas if the DM has to roll to make a saving throw, that the power of success or failure is not in my hands. Again, I might still miss, or the DM may save or fail their save, but I feel more in control when I'm doing the rolling. Reactive Force at 10th level. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack, any attack, mind you, all creatures of your choice within 5 feet take 2d8 force damage. I like this. This feels like what War Magic Wizard wanted to have, something similar. And then we have Kinetic Transfer at 14. When you successfully hit a creature with a ranged spell attack, you can forgo your kickback to slam them with the full force of the spell's potential energy. Make an ability check with your spellcasting ability contested by the creature's strength check. If you win the contest, you can move the creature in a single direction up to a number of feet equal to the spell range minus the distance between you and the target. The target takes a d6 force damage for every 10 feet it is pushed in this way to a maximum of 20d6. If you lose the contest, the creature is moved half that distance and doesn't take any force damage. And it says you can't use this again until you finish a short or long rest. I really like this. This reminds me of some of the crazy shenanigans you could get into in 3.5, where you could just shunt somebody miles away and they took damage for every 10 feet that they were moved, but to a much lesser scale. The only thing that's kind of funky is this is once per short or long rest. We're starting to see some less use of short rest. I made a whole video on that. I think it's fine here. I don't know. I think proficiency bonus times per long rest might be too many. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. And then kind of the last focus we're going to talk about here is the Heroic Destiny system. I'm sure you can kind of figure out what it is, but we'll talk a little bit about it. It says they're optional rules expansion, but basically it stresses that all of the other players at the table and the DM really need to buy into this to get the most out of it. When you select a Heroic Destiny for your character, run it by the DM and ask if they think the Destiny's particular fits with the campaign as well as the character. Once the players have chosen their Heroic Destinies, it's up to the DM to make sure there are opportunities for each player to achieve the milestones they need to progress through the tiers in a specific Destiny. The DM should start by familiarizing themselves with each Destiny. There are 10. We'll look at them in a second. There are several strategies for incorporating Heroic Destinies. You can choose to build your whole campaign around achieving Destiny milestones. You can build multi-session adventure arcs to achieve milestones. These arcs occur during breaks from pursuing the main plot. You can figure out a way to weave Heroic Destiny milestones into your main plot, or you could agree that these milestone events happen off-screen during downtime. Perhaps you start a session asking each player to describe achieving a milestone as a flashback. I really like this stuff because this is just a wonderful extra tool that you can have in your DM toolbox to have the players be more engaged, to, again, as it says, fill gaps between points in the main plot, to make this the focus of the plot, or whatever you want to have that happen. It says leveling up. Heroic Destinies can begin at any point in a campaign, though specific conditions must be met to begin each Destiny. These rules are completely optional, though it is recommended that if one player chooses to pursue a Destiny, all players do so. Characters who have successfully begun a Heroic Destiny continue furthering their connection to it by increasing their Destiny tier through achieving milestones. For example, a character learning to be a Dragon Rider is likely to have very different milestones than a character conducting a naturalist study of Ettercaps. There is lots of creative flexibility in the way these milestones work. Talk with your players about it. And then it says, when you advance your Destiny tier, you choose one boon from that tier or from a lower tier for which you meet the prerequisites. And you can kind of see the tiers 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And then it says the recommended level is basically tied to the tier system. It has a little bit of options here regarding replacing it, and then we can see the Destinies below. Avenger, Celebrity, Explorer, Fortune Seeker, Immortal, Scholar, Symbiosis, Teacher, Virtuoso, or Wielder. So the ones that call out to me immediately is probably Avenger is probably an interesting, right? An act of punishment against someone who's wronged you. I like Symbiosis, forge a lasting bond between yourself and a type of creature different from you. And then Wielder, right? Become a worthy wielder of a powerful artifact. Again, a lot of these also have benefits, and you can see a lot of characters doing this. Immortal, Fortune Seeker, Celebrity. I think I'm going to go... I was going to go with Wielder originally, but I think we might go with Symbiosis. You know, considering I don't have a great way to do animal companions as it stands, maybe Symbiosis here will be the thing that does it for me. All right. Some heroes are driven primarily by the relationships they form with others. Adventuring through a fantastical world is bound to result in meeting creatures that are strange, wonderful, or terrifying. A character who chooses the Symbiosis heroic destiny is interested in forming a bond with a type of creature unlike themselves and strengthening that bond through adverse circumstances. Forging a bond with a creature unlike yourself increases your awareness and potential. Spending time with other creatures underlines the limitations your own species faces and can reveal alternative methods for perceiving the world. The character who chooses this destiny is barking on a two-way street. It isn't just to do one good deed for a creature. Building connection takes time and effort. Getting to know a creature, learning its ways, and forming a foundation of mutual trust garners you a powerful ally to help you during your adventures. As you advance in the Symbiosis destiny, you will learn to communicate effectively with your creatures without barriers, call on them for help, learn to mirror their capabilities, and forge an allyship that can be invoked even in the most dangerous circumstances. So this could definitely be the animal companion that I'm seeking. So prerequisites to enter this destiny. To embark on this heroic destiny, you must have a meaningful, positive interaction with a type of creature different from yourself. Perhaps you nurse a sick owlbear back to health, earn the gratitude of a dragon, or free a gelatinous cube forced to clean the floors of a wizard's dungeon. You might imagine this connection as a mystical one or purely practical. Perhaps you've trained your whole life to work with a specific type of creature, Dragon Rider was mentioned earlier, or maybe you never expected to forge such a connection. Discuss with your DM how you can achieve this in your backstory or through the course of the game. Maintaining an open dialogue about your advancing destiny is crucial to building a successful story. So we said there's tier milestones, right? The following are examples of possible tier milestones for the Symbiosis heroic destiny. Liberating or rescuing the creature to which you are connected. Winning rights or rescue resources for the creature to which you're connected. Spending time living with and learning from the creature. And conducting research or uncovering secrets concerning the creature to which you are connected. And then again, there are different options for boons we can essentially gain, right? So tier 1 benefits. Understanding. You can understand how to communicate with your bonded creature regardless of language. If your bonded creature speaks a language, you learn how to speak, read, and write that language. If your bonded creature does not speak a language, you gain the ability to understand it and communicate with it in a way that is most comfortable. Or camaraderie. Your connection gives you a deep understanding of how best to work with creatures of your selected type. All creatures of your chosen species that would regard you as neutral instead regard you as friendly. Additionally, you have advantage on ability checks when socially interacting with creatures of your chosen type. Reminder that as you level up and get to the next tier, you can take the current tier or take one from a previous tier. All right, so for tier 2, you have Call a Friend. You've established enough trust with your chosen creature type that you can call on them for aid. During a long rest, you can attempt to contact creatures of your type to travel to you. The way you connect said creature is up to you. It might be a mystical connection. You have left trail signs to follow. Perhaps your creature senses your need, or maybe you send a physical message to a nearby settlement. Whatever the specific circumstances, at the end of the long rest, one creature or small group of creatures, at the DM's discretion, arrive if they are physically capable of doing so. The called creature is friendly towards you, though it is not magically compelled to follow your commands. It does not fight for you, but remains with you until they choose to depart. The extent and type of assistance they provide is not defined, but it's reasonable favor that the DM doesn't endanger the creature. The DM has final say. Here's some helpful guidelines. If the creatures can cast spells and can potentially cast them on your behalf. The creature is not willing to cast taxing spells, however, so it will not cast anything above 4th level. A creature can perform basic tasks for you, like fetching a person or item, if the person or item is sealed inside a dangerous area. However, the creature is not willing to risk itself for that favor. A large or larger creature is willing to carry you and your companions so you may reach the destination more quickly. However, creatures are not willing to travel into dangerous terrain to do so. And a creature will decline to perform any favor that obviously goes against its alignment or its nature. All right, that one only has one option. Then tier 3, part of your world. Your increasing knowledge of your chosen creature type allows you to imitate their abilities. You gain the following sense according to the category of your creature for which you chose your heroic destiny. So you can see them all listed here. I was immediately thinking of an animal like a beast, so you gain a special sense called track sense. This sense allows you to follow the trail, if there is one, of a specific creature whose scent you have smelled in the last 24 hours. Well, let's look in save mode if you were lucky enough to have a dragon. You gain a special sense called wealth sense out to a range of 60 feet. This sense allows you to instantly determine the monetary value of any object you can see. And just because I think the concept of a gelatinous cube friend is fun, let's look at the ooze. You gain a special sense called food sense out to a range of 60 feet. This sense allows you to detect the presence of substances or creatures digestible by you within the affected area. A lot of these seem to be senses. They're all sense-based. I was just going to try to see if there was anything different, but there we go. And then we have tier 4, friend like me. I like that they're also very specific. I didn't realize that they're all basically seem to be Aladdin quotes, right? Party or Disney quotes, right? Part of your world. We have Little Mermaid, and friend like me, we have Aladdin. How very Celeste to do that. Anyway, yeah, your time spent in relationship with your chosen creature type has tested your capabilities and taught you to better adapt to their world. Your ability score and maximum ability score increase by 2. That's pretty awesome. I love this. This is definitely a thing that I would want to do. I probably want to go for like an animal. But either way, I wonder if all of them give you an ability score improvement at the end. Oh, look at this. So we went to the next one. We're not going to read through it, but we went to Teacher. Teacher has 2 tier 1s and then 2 tier 4s. And actually, it looks like they don't give you a different option for like increasing your ability score. So they are indeed all unique as we go through. Let's go to just look at Wielder real quick just to see. Because it's about having different kind of items here. So yeah, let's see. Oh, this one has your hit point maximum is reduced. But let's see, at level 4, this one also has 2 tiers. Benefit of 2 minds. Yeah, all right. And then obviously we can see ahead, there's a bunch of spells and magic items and things. But I'm not going to go into that in this video. This video is long enough. But yeah, I love the concept of the heroic destiny. I'm always looking for something like that in my games. Some sort of, I don't know what it is, but I always like to have an extra little mechanic, whether that be the Heroic Chronicle that we've seen debuted in other first-party materials, this Heroic Destiny system. I love this kind of stuff where I have like another fun mechanic that can help keep the players engaged, but I also like to have powered, like higher powered characters in my game so we can kind of jack up the power level a little bit, but we can build it into the story and sort of make them earn it. And that I think is important, that the characters earn this sort of power level improvement. But either way, let me know your thoughts. I'll put a link to the Adventure Maidens campaign guide down in the video description, as well as a pinned comment. Again, like I said, if you already backed it, you can go get the same PDF that I was looking through. We did all that 20-something minutes, and we only covered the first 62 pages of the book, and we skipped around as well. So if you're curious about something specific about the Adventure Maidens campaign guide that you'd like to see me cover in a future video, leave it in the comment down below, and we can always make a follow-up video. Don't worry, for those of you who are talking about 2C gaming related stuff and wanted to see follow-ups to my Epic Titans video that I made previously, we can do that again sometime soon. We'll make another Epic Titan sort of spotlight video. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.